The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel as written to us by John. Pilate said to Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you say this on your own, or have others told you about me?" Pilate answered, "I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests handed you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom does not belong to this world. If my kingdom did belong to this world, my attendants would be fighting to keep me from being handed over. But as it is, my kingdom is not here." So Pilate said to him, "Then you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say I am a king. But for this was I born, and for this I came into the world, to announce the truth. And everyone who belongs to the truth hears me." This is good news from the Lord. Okay, put your thinking caps on, as the nuns used to say. I want to point out that the official title of this feast is Christ the King of the universe, not the world. Now, that might seem like a meaningless distinction. But Jesus was born into this world. And of course, if tomorrow we discover life on another planet, would Jesus be king of that world? No, that universal reign is the meaning of the Christ. So stay with me. First of all, and I know I've told you this, or at least at some of the masses, Christ is not Jesus' last name. Let's start with that, all right? The Christ existed from all eternity. That's said very clearly all through the New Testament. But most of us just lump the two together and we say Jesus Christ. In the first 2,000 years since Jesus was born, little by little, we've tried to believe that this single human being could be possibly a personification of the eternal God. But now we know, and you're the first generation that knows this, the universe that is still expanding at a faster pace, and we can prove that, is 13.7 billion years old. Billion. The lifetime of Jesus is just a drop in the sand in terms of geological time. The church, the Bible, are all just a drop in the sand in the terms of the whole of universal existence. Somehow at the Big Bang, approximately 14 billion years ago, God set this whole thing in motion. Now, here's the question I want to ask you. What was God doing for 13.7 billion years? Was he just twiddling his thumbs? Was he just waiting for Jesus? Were all the people who came ahead of Jesus, which is most, the Mayans and the Aztecs and the Incas and the Persians and the Native Americans and the Greeks and the Romans, were they all just throwaways? God didn't care about them in the least because they didn't know Jesus. But let me tell you what they had access to. Christ. Everybody, every creature that God has ever created since the beginning of time could know the divine presence. Let's just use that word. God isn't fussy about what name you use. The important thing is the encountering of the presence. Now, a lot of us, we think we have the right name, Jesus Christ, But it's pretty apparent a lot of Christians don't have much access, much living experience of this presence, especially as a loving presence. So it's not just the people who use the right word, who say, I believe in Jesus Christ, who have accessed the universal Christ. So the name was given, in fact, it was the Franciscans, my own order, who in the 1920s inaugurated this feast. And we said, don't just call it Jesus, King of the world. We see in this gospel, he says, this is not my kingdom. We said, King of the universe. That this whole outflowing from God that started 13.7 billion years ago is an outflowing of the eternal Christ. Everything your human eyes can see, get ready, is Christ. Everything is a manifestation of the eternal God. Everything. Now, I know we weren't trained to see that, and that's probably why most of us feel we live in a secular, pagan, profane universe. Well, it is if you don't have eyes to see the sacred. Those who are willing to recognize the Christ will see the Christ everywhere, in everybody. In fact, that would be my present definition of a Christian. A Christian sees Christ everywhere, no exceptions. Now, if you're still limiting it to, well, American people or white people or Catholic people or straight people or happy people, or no, you're not a Christian yet. Until you can see Christ where you don't even want to see Christ. As Jesus puts it, in the least of the brothers and sisters. The handicapped people, the not so good looking people, the poor people, the people from other cultures and countries and religions. Until you see Christ there, you have not seen Christ at all. It's all or nothing. It's one universe, and Christ is King of all of it. Do you want to be in on the whole game? Or do you just want to belong to a little ethnic religion? We've got to believe that God is bigger than that. We've got to believe that there's a God who is at least as big as the whole universe. And that's pretty big. When I was in college, I was told there were billions of stars. Now we know there are billions of galaxies. In fact, they go so far as to say there's 6 for every human being on this earth. 6 galaxies. Pick your galaxy, huh? You and I are just a speck in this giant universe. And that's why we have such good reasons for humility and really such good reasons for an ever expanding love.